In a week dominated by Iran war ceasefire drama, Supreme Court rulings, redistricting battles, and bourbon-branded FBI directors, two stories broke through the political noise and captured the country's attention in completely different ways. One reminded Americans what courage looks like when it shows up in the smallest and most unexpected package. The other reminded Americans what happens when the hunger for viral fame collides with someone else's private vulnerability and the law catches up. Together, they tell a story about the country that has nothing to do with Washington and everything to do with who we are when the cameras are rolling and when nobody is watching. Let's start with the heroes, because this country needs them right now, and 5 middle school kids in Mississippi just delivered. On Wednesday, April 23rd, 40 students boarded a school bus outside Hancock Middle School in Hancock County, Mississippi, for what should have been an ordinary afternoon ride home. Their driver, 46-year-old Leah Taylor, pulled out of the school and onto a 4-lane highway. She had been driving this route for a long time. She knew these kids. What she did not know was that an asthma attack was coming. She reached for her inhaler. She did not make it. Taylor blacked out before she could use her medication. The bus continued rolling forward on the highway, driverless, with 40 children on board. What happened in the next few seconds will be the kind of story these kids tell for the rest of their lives. 6th grader Jackson Casnave, 12 years old and sitting directly behind the driver, noticed the bus beginning to swerve. He jumped up, grabbed the wheel, and told others to call for help. Mackenzie Finch described what she saw in language that is both simple and devastating. She said Taylor kind of fell over, like flopped over, and everyone started standing up. Darrius Clark saw the bus starting to gain speed and hit the brakes, saying it about threw him out the windshield from the force of stopping the vehicle. Destiny Cornelius saw that Taylor had her asthma medication in her hand, reaching for it but unable to use it, and took the medication and administered it to the unconscious driver herself. Others called 911, flagged down passing drivers, and kept the rest of the students as calm as 40 panicked middle schoolers on a runaway bus could possibly be kept. Nobody was hurt. The bus came to a stop. Emergency responders arrived. Leah Taylor, who has since made a full recovery, came back the next day and personally thanked every single student who helped save her life. "I'm grateful for my students," Taylor said. "They're the ones that saved my life and everybody else is on that bus." Hancock Middle School principal Melissa Saucier said she was not surprised that her students had responded the way they did. "They didn't wait for somebody to step in," she said. "They stepped up themselves, and that says a lot about their character." The 5 students were honored at a school pep rally and treated to a lunch field trip at a restaurant of their choosing. Think about what these kids actually did for a moment. They are 12 and 13 years old. They were riding a school bus on a 4-lane highway when their adult driver collapsed. There was no adult to tell them what to do. There was no playbook. There was no training. There was only a bus rolling forward, a woman who needed help, and 40 kids who needed someone to act. Jackson Casnave grabbed the wheel. Darrius Clark hit the brakes hard enough to nearly be thrown into the windshield. Destiny Cornelius recognized that the driver was reaching for medication she could not get to and administered it herself. These are not the actions of children who panicked. These are the actions of young people who made a decision in a fraction of a second that saving lives was more important than being scared. The country should know their names: Jackson Casnave, Mackenzie Finch, Darrius Clark, Destiny Cornelius, and the other students who called for help and held the situation together while their peers took the wheel. Mississippi is proud of them. America should be too. Now to the second story, which is a very different kind of American moment, one involving a DoorDash driver, a TikTok video, a passed-out customer, and a grand jury indictment that carries up to 8 years in prison. Olivia Henderson, a 23-year-old DoorDash driver from New York, appeared in an Oswego County courtroom on May 1st, where she entered a not guilty plea to 2 felony charges of unlawful surveillance and dissemination of an unlawful surveillance image under New York law, charges that together carry a potential sentence of up to 8 years in prison. The incident occurred on October 12, 2025, during a routine food delivery in Oswego. Henderson arrived at a customer's residence to drop off an order and found a male customer unconscious on his couch after drinking alcohol, with his pants and underwear pulled down around his ankles. Instead of leaving the food, contacting DoorDash support, or calling for help, Henderson nudged the door open and recorded the man without his knowledge or consent, capturing him in an intimate and deeply vulnerable position. She then posted the video on TikTok, where it quickly amassed millions of views. She framed herself in the video as the victim, claiming she had been sexually harassed by the customer during the delivery. The video went viral. Millions of people watched it. Many sympathized with her framing. The comment sections on social media filled with outrage directed at the customer. DoorDash deactivated the customer's account after seeing the video, and then, approximately a day and a half later, also deactivated Henderson's account. The company issued a statement saying it takes reports of this nature with the utmost seriousness, and that publicly sharing videos taken inside a customer's home, especially when personal information is involved, raises privacy concerns and is a clear violation of its policies. Police have stated the recording was made without the man's consent. Court documents accuse Henderson of degrading the victim by filming intimate parts of such person at a place and time when such person has a reasonable expectation of privacy, without such person's knowledge or consent. A grand jury reviewed the evidence and returned a formal indictment. Henderson now faces up to 4 years in prison on each of the 2 felony counts for a potential maximum of 8 years. The Henderson case raises several questions simultaneously that the American public has been wrestling with since smartphones and social media platforms created a world where filming anything and posting it immediately became technically possible for anyone. The first question is about privacy. A person passed out in their own home, on their own couch, with their door slightly ajar, has a reasonable expectation that they will not be filmed and that footage of them in that state will not be broadcast to millions of strangers. That expectation is not eliminated by the fact that a delivery driver has legitimate access to the doorstep. It is not eliminated by the driver's claim that something happened that made her uncomfortable. It is not eliminated by the viral reach of the resulting video and the sympathy that framing generated. New York law recognized that expectation explicitly, and the grand jury agreed that the footage crossed the line from whatever Henderson claims her intent was into criminal invasion of privacy. The second question is about the viral incentive structure that platforms have created, where the speed and scale of public reaction to a video can generate enormous social pressure before any facts have been verified, before any investigation has occurred, and before the person depicted in the footage has had any opportunity to respond. Millions of people saw Henderson's video and formed conclusions about the passed-out man before a single police report had been filed or reviewed. The customer lost his DoorDash account. His image was spread across the internet in an intimate and vulnerable state. Whatever the truth is about what happens before that camera started rolling, the man in the video had no ability to defend himself, correct the record, or control the narrative in any meaningful way before it had already reached millions of people. The third question is about what legal accountability looks like in this era for people who use social media platforms to harm others. Henderson is facing up to 8 years in prison if convicted on both felony counts. That is a significant legal consequence for what many people watching the original viral video might have characterized as a worker sharing a genuine safety concern with the public. The indictment's language, that she degraded the victim by filming him in a place where he had a reasonable expectation of privacy, establishes a clear legal standard. The platform reach of the video, its viral nature, the fact that it was posted publicly and not reported to authorities as a potential crime, all of these factors are part of why the Oswego County District Attorney chose to pursue felony charges rather than a misdemeanor or no charges at all. These 2 stories, the Mississippi students and the DoorDash driver, are not connected by any political thread. They do not fit neatly into the narratives about war and redistricting and approval ratings and bourbon-branded FBI directors that have dominated every news cycle for months. But they are connected by something more fundamental, which is the question of what Americans do when they are faced with a moment that tests their character in real time. 5 middle schoolers on a Mississippi highway chose to grab the wheel, hit the brakes, and give a woman her medication because it was the right thing to do, and because someone had to. A 23-year-old delivery driver in New York chose to open a door, film a vulnerable man, and post the footage to TikTok because it would generate views and sympathy. The difference between those two choices and the difference in the consequences that followed is not a political story. It is a human one. And in a week full of love taps and bourbon bottles and redistricting battles and ceasefire violations, it is the kind of human story that reminds you there is still something real happening underneath all the noise, in school buses on Mississippi highways and doorsteps in upstate New York, wherever ordinary people find themselves in moments they did not choose and have to decide, in an instant, who they want to be.